There is a number on a screen in a government building right now. The number is 72. It means hours. The people looking at that number are not panicking. They have been trained not to panic. But 3 of them have quietly called their families in the last hour. Let's talk about what happens next, and let's be honest about who survives it. Here is the honest breakdown of what happens next and who is left when the clock hits 0. The object has a designation. Scientists call it a chondrite, a stony asteroid, the most common type in the solar system. It is not made of iron. It will not bounce. It will not skip off the atmosphere. It is 8.7 kilometers across. To put that in terms your body understands, if you stood at one edge of this asteroid and looked toward the other, you would see a horizon. You would need a car to cross it in under an hour. It has been traveling toward us at 28 kilometers per second, not miles per hour, kilometers per second. In the time it takes you to blink, it moves 84 kilometers. In the time it takes to read this sentence, it has crossed the distance between London and Paris. It was first detected 72 hours ago by the Catalina Sky Survey in Arizona. A graduate student noticed a smear on a long exposure image that did not match any known object. She flagged it at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. By 2 a.m., 14 observatories on 4 continents had confirmed the trajectory. By 4 a.m., the White House Situation Room had been briefed. By 6 a.m., the UN Planetary Defense Coordination Office activated its emergency protocol for the first time in history. This is not a drill. This is the scenario every planetary defense exercise for the past 40 years has been practicing for. And the answer those exercises kept arriving at is the same answer now. There is nothing we can do. Not in 72 hours. Not with anything we currently have. So we model. We calculate. We answer the only question left. Where is the safest place to be when it hits? Point of impact, mid-Atlantic Ocean. This is the modeled scenario. Not worst case, not best case, median case, what the physics says happens. When an 8.7 kilometer chondrite hits open water at 28 kilometers per second, entry begins at 150 kilometers altitude. The atmosphere tries to slow it. The atmosphere fails. The asteroid punches through 150 kilometers of air in approximately 5 seconds. Friction heats the leading face to 50,000 degrees Celsius, 4 times hotter than the surface of the sun. The rock does not vaporize. It is too large. It arrives at the ocean surface as a solid object moving at 25 kilometers per second. The impact energy, 500,000 megatons of TNT. Every nuclear weapon ever built by every nation on Earth detonated simultaneously equals approximately 50,000 megatons. This is 10 times that. The asteroid does not stop at the ocean surface. It passes through the ocean, 4 kilometers deep, in a fraction of a second, and strikes the ocean floor. The ocean floor compresses, then it rebounds. The ocean above, where the asteroid just passed through, is now a column of steam and superheated plasma 5 kilometers wide and 200 kilometers tall. In the first second, the impact crater is 40 kilometers across and 10 kilometers deep. The surrounding ocean rushes inward. In the first minute, a fireball 500 kilometers in diameter. Everything within that radius is incinerated before it can be observed. In the first hour, a tsunami wave 300 meters tall radiates outward at 700 kilometers per hour. In the first day, 200 billion tons of vaporized rock and water are injected into the upper atmosphere. The sky goes dark, and then the real catastrophe begins. Now the question you actually came here for. Who survives? Let's model it honestly. Not what movies tell you, not bunkers and billionaires. The real physics, the real geography, the real biology of survival. The impact event itself, the first 24 hours, kills based entirely on proximity. That part is simple. After 1,000 kilometers from impact, the direct event becomes survivable, if you are prepared for what comes next. What comes next is the real killer. The ejecta cloud, 200 billion tons of vaporized rock injected into the stratosphere, will reduce global sunlight by 80 to 90% within 2 weeks. This is called impact winter. It has happened before. The asteroid that killed the non-avian dinosaurs 66 million years ago triggered an impact winter lasting 2 to 3 years. That object was 10 to 15 kilometers across. Our asteroid is 8.7. The winter will be shorter. The models say 18 months of significant darkness, enough to collapse the global food system, because agriculture needs sunlight. And without agriculture at current population density, the carrying capacity of Earth drops by approximately 96%. Let me translate that. 8 billion people alive today. The planet can feed approximately 300 million through impact winter, using stored food, indoor growing, insects, whatever survives. So who are those 300 million? Not who you think.
Here is the part no simulation includes. What humans do with 72 hours. Hour 1 of the announcement. Panic buying begins in every city with internet access. Supermarkets in New York, London, Tokyo, Sao Paulo empty within 90 minutes of the news breaking. Not because 90 minutes is enough to prepare, because the buying is not preparation. The buying is what hands do when brains are offline. Hour 3. Road networks in coastal cities seize. The evacuation orders, voluntary, then mandatory, create gridlock that makes evacuation impossible. The people who survive coastal zones in historical disasters are almost never the ones who left last. They are the ones who left before the announcement, before the traffic, before the panic decided for everyone else. Hour 6. Financial markets, where they are still open, experience the largest single-session collapse in history. This matters to precisely no one and is reported by every news channel simultaneously. Hour 12. Governments activate emergency protocols. Food rationing is announced in 14 countries. Military units are repositioned. But repositioned where? For what? The honest answer is to maintain order during the 60 hours that remain. The people in those governments know what the models show. They are not managing a disaster. They are managing a transition. Hour 36. A stillness descends on cities far from impact zones. People call people they should have called years ago. Streets that were gridlocked are now empty. The noise stops. What is left is not panic. It is clarity, and the disturbing data point from every disaster psychology study ever conducted. Human beings, in the final hours, are overwhelmingly kind.
Here is what the scenario we just modeled leaves out. This has already almost happened. On October 3rd, 2024, an asteroid designated 2024 RW1 entered Earth's atmosphere over the Philippines and disintegrated. It was first detected 11 hours before impact. 11 hours for a small object 1 meter across. On February 15, 2013, a 20-meter asteroid entered the atmosphere over Chelyabinsk, Russia. Zero warning, none. The first detection happened when it exploded in the atmosphere with the force of 30 Hiroshima bombs. 1,500 people were injured. On June 30, 1908, an object between 50 and 80 meters exploded over Siberia. It flattened 2,150 square kilometers of forest, an area the size of a major metropolitan region. Warning, zero. In 2029, the asteroid Apophis, 370 meters across, will pass closer to Earth than our own satellites. We will be able to see it with the naked eye. Apophis was briefly assigned a 1 in 37 chance of direct impact in 2068, before updated modeling ruled it out. Ruled it out, for now. Currently, NASA's Planetary Defense Catalog tracks approximately 2,300 potentially hazardous asteroids larger than 140 meters. Potentially hazardous means their orbital paths bring them close enough that a small gravitational nudge from Jupiter, from the Sun, from a close pass of another object could alter their trajectory to intersect Earth. The catalog is not complete. Astronomers estimate we have found roughly 40% of the objects in the kilometer and above range. The other 60% are still out there, untracked, unnamed, moving at 28 kilometers per second toward wherever they're going. We just hope that isn't here.
The dinosaurs had no warning. We do. And right now, tonight, a telescope somewhere is taking a long exposure of a patch of sky. A software algorithm is comparing it to last night's image, looking for a smear, a trail, something that moved when everything else stayed still. Most nights it finds nothing. Most. Next, what humanity's actual planetary defense plan looks like, and the one mission that already deflected an asteroid. It worked. The question is whether we'd have enough time to do it again.